What is going on? I'm Michael and I have another application to show you today, so let's get into it. Alright, so today's application is our goal tracker. So I have a lot of goals, a lot of things I like doing, and I usually cheat myself and I don't actually put as many hours towards these goals as I think I am. So that's why I built this application, mainly for myself, but if anyone wants to use it, that'd be great. And also, it's open source. It's on GitHub here, so you can build it and run it. So let's get a quick demo of the actual application. So here's the URL. It's not very pretty, but that's what I have because I don't have to pay for hosting, right? All right, so you go here, our goal tracker. So let's set up some goals. I put in an email address. I sign in, so you don't need a password. It's pretty insecure, but I just put in a password to log in. And then I can add new goals. So let's say, I don't know, I want to learn a new language. Maybe it's Kotlin or something. Who knows? Let's say I want to put in, 15 hours. Oops, 15 hours towards that goal. Save changes. And now I have a list here of all the hours that I need to put in. And then I check them off as I do the hours. And then it gives you a timestamp there. Okay. Yep, and then I go through and check all these once I've done them, but you need to actually do the goal, right? Then I can delete the goal. I can also add new goals. So maybe I want to learn, I don't know, AWS Lambda or something. Put in the 20 hours, and then I have AWS Lambda here, and I can click here and save all the goals. Then I can also delete the goals here. I can log out. Log back in, you can see Kotlin's there, so we have some state being saved in the background there. Cool. So that is the application. Feel free to use it, but feel free to take any of the tech that I've built here and use it for your own project or tweak it how you like. So next, I'd like to segue into how to actually run this locally. So I'll quickly go through the tech stack. So we have, it's built with React on the front end. We're using React Router to go navigate through those different pages, like the login page and the actual goal page. And then for the UI elements, I'm using MDB Bootstrap. And then I have it Dockerized and deployed to AWS App Runner. So that's the front end. And then the back end here, we're using Springboot 3.0. And the data store I chose was DynamoDB, super easy, and I'm really familiar with it, so that's usually what I choose. And then I've Dockerized this on App Runner as well. The reason I use App Runner is because it's super easy to take any Docker image, just throw it into the cloud. It can be auto-scaled, and it just plain works really simply. And I did something cool and wrote everything in 100% TDD style development when I actually wrote the Java code. Cool. So let's get into how to run this locally. I will run through these steps so that it ensures that you see that it's actually working. A lot of times I read readmes and it doesn't actually work, right? So let's get into this. So first I need to obviously clone. Maybe I should put a step there, but let's go ahead and clone this code, right? Just do a new directory here. So this is demo for our goal tracker. Okay. And then I could cd into our goal tracker. And let's do a clone. All right. Okay. So how to run locally. So we first need to run the back end because the front end depends on the back end. The back end only depends on DynamoDB. So that's where we're going to start. So DynamoDB is the data store. Okay, looks good. So then Docker PS, that means see what processes or which containers Docker's running locally. Right now, nothing's running. So let's go back and run image. So I'm going to run it in detached mode so that it doesn't take over my terminal. Okay, so it's going to kind of run there in the background. I can do Docker PS, and you can see now that Docker DynamoDB local is running on port 8000. Awesome. So now I need to create my table. So I can copy this. This is AWS CLI command to actually create my table, and it's going to be called our goal tracker. Okay. That created the actual table. Now I can list this table. Just make sure it did get created. And we should see one entry there in that array, our goal tracker. So that's good. Okay, and then now let's cd into the backend. Okay, so now we're in the backend directory, and let's run this locally with the Maven wrapper. Okay, so I paste that in, and let's get it running. Okay, so that's the port that my backend is now running on. And if I go to this URL, I'll see that the status is up. So this is a little health check that the backend has. So it says it's healthy. Great. Now let's go to the front end. So let's, yeah, I guess I need to change this around. This should have been at the top. But let's cd into the front end now. Okay, so I did npm install, so now I can do npm start. Localhost 3000. All right, so then here we are. All right, let me get my email here. I'm gonna sign in. As you can see here, my localhost one doesn't have any entries for this Mike Oz coder because it's pointed at a local DynamoDB that doesn't have the data that's in the other one. So if I switch over to this tab, you can see if I refresh, this one has this Kotlin goal, right? So if I go over here, I can now add a new goal, or something here, and then I can add certain things. So this is running all in my local against my local DynamoDB. Okay, so you could delete it, and then you could play around with it here. Cool. So that's all set up. So let me go over here. I can quickly explain this deployment to AWS. I have not tested this on another machine, so I'm not sure if it'll work. So let me know in the comments or issues. You can put an issue on this GitHub repo. But I'm using AWS App Runner, which, like I said, is a way for you to basically toss a container to AWS using this App Runner service that AWS has, and it'll run this container. It'll create logs for you. It'll create, I think, a load balancer, the IAM role, all these things to basically productionize your container, so you don't have to deal with all of the extra things that AWS usually has you do by hand. So it's a really nice service, especially for like a demo application like this or something I just want to put out in the wild and see how it does. So I've deployed both the back end and the front end out to AWS. So that's why we see this weird URL here. So it's like a subdomain of this awsaprunner.com. And that's hosted live. And then it also gives you an HTTPS URL with the certificate. Cool, and I'm using a CLI tool called Copilot. So this is something that AWS also puts out. So I've linked that here. So it's a command line interface for your containers. So it'll build your container and it'll upload it all, and then you can configure which AWS service you want to run your container. For this one, I've chose App Runner, but you can choose Fargate, or I think ECS is another one you can use. So you can take a look at that. But you should be able to just clone this and then run Copilot service deploy. And as long as you have your AWS keys set up on your machine to deploy things to AWS or use the AWS CLI, then it should all upload for you. But it might not work because I haven't tried it out. But yeah, here's a few learnings from my project. This is mainly for me. You could read through them if you'd like. But that is about it. So let me know if you like it. I'll keep uploading these different applications that are personally exciting to me, and I hope that it'll help other people, because I know that having a working application that you can tweak for your own use case is pretty much the fastest way to develop any application. So it's better than starting from scratch usually. But anyways, we'll talk to you later.